again, welcome everybody. Glad everybody's here this morning. Hope you're having a good, cool week.
Well, it's cooler than hell, I can tell you.
Well, that's encouraging, Pastor. I appreciate the encouraging words this morning. That's true. All right, so we will take up agenda item number 2, discuss and take possible action on approval of payroll number 16 for the period ending August 4th, 2023.
I'll move to approve payroll number 16. I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve payroll number 16 for the period ending August 4th, 2023. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 3, discuss and take possible action on approval of personnel action forms.
We changed the form, so you'll see a mix of the old form and the new form in this set. So the first one's Vanessa Dana, increase within approved slot, with office. Jason Macbeth, tax office resignation. John Hagion, new hire. In the sheriff's office, it's Beta. Down on the remarks, it says Mrs. Garcia, please strike that. We need to make a correction there. Mason Bragdon, transfer, corrections officer. Cindy Sandoval, retirement, sheriff's office. Christopher Tice, resignation, sheriff's office. Silvano Cervantes, transfer, he's transferring from one position to another position. No increase in pay, it's just a transfer in position. Albert Zabaka, increase within approved slot.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the personnel act forms.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the personnel action form. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion does carry. Ms. Linda, if you would, if you'll remind me on the retiree for sheriff's office to make sure I send the security card and stuff, because I saw it's still about a week or so away.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. Yeah, so I didn't do anything with that one. Thank you. Item number 4, discuss and take possible action on approval of revised longevity pay policy.
Okay, well, this is a new longevity pay plan that we went through in a workshop. So this is just the policy. We've already approved the new plan. So just some changes in the wording. Everything's highlighted. Just changed, we had the word shall in there. And so Maggie suggested we change it to may be eligible instead of shall be. And then everything else is in the 3rd paragraph. We changed it to certain employees whose salary income is capped by state or federal law. We added grant funding. So the year of service now, instead of your anniversary date, is going to be hired before October and the year. So there's a schedule here. So a person will only have to look at the schedule and have to know their hire date and to see how many years that they'll be eligible. They're going to have to count up their hire date and half a year and all that. So a little bit easier. Second page, again, approved during the budget cycle. That's a little bit of, we just added that terminology. And calculated on the 4 years of employment attained based on this schedule. And we'll pay it out during the month of November. Other than that, not much change.
And just as a reminder, I don't have that exactly with me, but I think this was about $140,000 annually based on the employees that we have is the number.
Yes.
Right?
143.
What was it?
143.
143, yes. And the wording in there also is obviously during the budget cycle that we're going to go through, we would be also approving this again.
Supposed to be approved each year.
Correct, yeah, that's basically
Yes.
what she has, so it's in the,
During
the
this
budget.
year. Y'all have to move the numbers each year.
Yeah, well, this schedule will stay the same, but whether longevity is paid every year will be part of the budget process. It's not a given, it can be changed.
All right, well,
Yes, we would add October 1, 2023.
Yes.
It'll
It'll change
change
by
by
the year, yes.
I'm
But
moving
right now, they're cutting everybody's actual hire dates instead of something that's easy to manage.
I'm going to approve the revised longevity pay policy. I'll second.
Have a motion and second to approve the revised longevity pay policy. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 5, County Auditor Monthly Report.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Joe. So these are balances as of the beginning of August. August 1st, 2023. These do not include interest for July. We have not entered those yet. So the first paragraph is a comparison of August 2022 versus all the way through August 2023. As you can see, we are about $4 million less than we were last year. The next page will give you a breakdown by fund, and that middle column in there is the net change per fund. I'll go over a couple of expenses that are not routine, that are not monthly expenses that are causing those $4 million. So we paid property insurance, which is $167,000. ACS, we paid 2 years, which is about $100,000 per year. We paid phase 3 of roof repairs. I believe that was to the jail over here. That was $700,000. Debt service, we paid $385,000 of debt service. And all these are in the month of July, which make up the beginning balances of August. We also paid our PID and TERS, $585,000. Health premiums, we paid 2 months during the month of July. And that's an average of about $350,000 per month. And then we paid for 7 of the SRO Durangos, total of about $300,000. So when you add up all those expenses, that's $3 million. So just don't want to scare anyone, since we see a big jump from 26 to 22. Those are the expenses during the month of July. And then, again, page 2 is a breakdown of each fund individually. That middle column tells you the net change versus cash coming in versus cash coming out for each of those funds. If you have any questions on that, I can answer them or get back to you with some answers on those net changes. The only other one that I would like to point out is the 131 fund, the PDO. We did have a board meeting last Friday. I think we finally came to a conclusion on how we're going to invoice the counties, including Medina County. We're waiting on one amendment to the interlocal agreement so that we can start invoicing those counties. We haven't invoiced them since March 2023. And then we're also pending third quarter from the state for PDO. Another big thing that the board agreed was to fund Medina County with a fund balance for this particular PDO fund in an amount of $400,000. So each county, based on a percentage, is going to fund Medina County $400,000 so that we're not in the red by $500,000 plus on a quarterly basis. And that should begin October 1, 2023.
Are the American Rescue Funds all included in this, what we have paid out also?
Yes, yes. And most of that 2.6 is accounted for, it just hasn't been spent yet. And then the last page, we have our debt service to include the bottom section, which is the loans that the precincts have borrowed from one of the tenants.
Any questions for Lon?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item number 6, discuss and take possible action on approval of accounts payable.
Yes, it's over $10,000 checks on the cover page. There are 2 wire transfers and jail closings there. The total is accounts payable $649,752.38.
Just the auditor mentioned a little bit, it's the very first items on there, but so those checks to LSP and Kerr and Kendall County are actually the settlement monies that Kerr County sent to us, and then as part of us cleaning all of that up in the fund balances, we cut those checks to those counties, and then going forward, other than us having that $400,000 that it was talking about, for us to not be the ones carrying the whole load, we'll be actually in the process, we'll be settling all of those on a monthly basis with them, so we swear we won't have to.
Because they don't have the case with the law.
Cases, and yes, and then basically gets the expenses and all of the other counties have agreed to that. Matter of fact, they like it a lot better because it keeps us all squared on time, so.
Does anybody know when our jail is gonna be open?
So,
Get close?
we
Getting close.
yeah, we're getting close. The admin area over there is probably, I would say not more than maybe a few weeks away from being complete for the admin side, and the jail side, we're probably still, they're in their little pain, so maybe we're gonna be getting really close in 6 weeks.
Is Kirk County the only place you'll keep the people like that?
No,
No, we also use Escos County as well.
And just 100,000 straight to Kirk County.
correct. Right, if you all remember, right now, we have to transfer another 25 or 26 out when we close the old part of the jail, because we actually have less beds currently in the new, because part of the old was remodeled into the old recreation area. That was put in for female housing, so we actually only have 83 beds, I think, is right now. So they had to send 26 more out, so we have about probably 50 out of county. So it's very expensive, and that's why we've been pushing hard to finish this jail. So, yes, they're doing well on that. That's what I was saying. So we're probably, they thought it would take 6 weeks, and they've been in there for 2, but we still have after that to clean floor. So I feel like we're about 6 weeks away probably from complete.
Make a motion that we approve accounts payable accepting the 53 fund on page 13, sheriff's forfeiture.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the accounts payable exception being 153 on page 15 for sheriff's forfeiture. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 7, discuss and take possible action on approval of disbursement of funds since last commissioner's court meeting.
Yes, utilities were paid in the amount of $2,240.14.
I'll make a motion to approve those expenses.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the disbursements of funds since last commissioner's court meeting. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 8, discuss and take possible action on approval of the county treasurer's monthly report.
This is for the month of June. Total combined funds, $30,891.90. Total debt owed, $24,968,397. The district court civil reports that have been brought up today that are included. However, the funds have not been received yet due to some issues. And we sealed up all the county clerks' civil reports from November of 2021 through May of this year, but I understand they're very close to getting that done.
Yeah, it sounds like we're making good progress on that. So I think we had Tyler did some updates in their reporting, I believe, in the way that district clerk had done, right, on their reports and what they're able to get over the treasurer's office that I think was somewhat helpful apparently to the process. So hopefully I think that would help the office as well. Is that correct? So,
Working on it.
excellent.
So they are trying to do the same thing that district clerk, but what I recommended is if that doesn't work, then we're going to receive 95% that goes to monthly revenues, and we're going to figure out the discrepancies afterwards, because if not, at the end of September, we're going to be behind 2 entire fiscal years. So,
Right. No, I agree.
but hopefully that does work.
Right.
The county clerk's receipts tied to the treasurer's receipts, so we're thinking it's just a formula of something in the worksheet. But there are some changes that need to be done on the report as far as general ledger account numbers. So that's what they're working on.
Right, yeah, adding the ones that are for our general ledger on the treasury
Yes.
side, correct?
Yes.
So it's, again, that's kind of been a work in progress for the courts to know with Tyler, because my opinion is if we put it in Tyler, we should be able to not manually enter anything through the process, and they've had to do a lot of that over the years, which we pay Tyler a lot of money, and we should be able to send a report out through all of the places that just ties it all together. So I think we're getting much closer on that. Thank you, Julie. And
Absolutely. That's what I wanted to say. I appreciate all of
Sorry,
this
the
hard work.
treasurer. Big team effort for sure trying to get it there. So. Somebody want to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion on the treasurer's report.
Second. Have a motion to second to approve the county treasurer's monthly report. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 9, visitors and public comments. We do have one public comment today, which Hank Say is cost. Come on up, Hank.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Most of y'all know me. I've lived in Medina County most of my life. I've been a public servant in this county many times. I've served as a city councilman in Castroville. I've served as the mayor of Castroville. I've run for office several times for the school board, so I know the people in this county. I know the people that are elected to run this county. I know how this county runs. I know how it operates. And I want to come up here and talk to y'all about some things that I've run into, Terry Beck has run into the last year and a half while we were messing with Medina Valley in the school district, investigating some stuff there. It has bled over into this commissioner's court. You got people that are doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. I'd like to start off by saying, I came to Medina Valley to the school district about a year and a half ago. Terry Beck called me to come look at some budget items and some bond issuance issues that he thought there were some issues with the school. Since we did so much work in Castroville and found the same issues in Castroville, and I owe Terry a favor because he came and helped me when I needed help. I told him I'd surely help him. We got involved in Castroville, we got the audit reports, we started looking at stuff, guys, and what we found was illegal land deals. A lot of illegal land deals dealing with millions and millions of dollars. It involves Chris Schuhart, this gentleman that was up here. Chris Schuhart was the former judge. Mr. Larry Sear, the commissioner that's sitting on this court right now, had LLCs that they got involved with and that they're still involved with, and they did build subdivisions around our schools in Medina Valley. We started asking questions about these land deals and involvement in the LLCs and stuff, and as I started to ask questions about it, bad things started happening to Terry and I. We started getting run out of school board meetings, having our civil rights violated for no reason whatsoever. The first month we went to the Medina Valley school system, we were only there 1 month. I attended 1 meeting. We asked some questions. The same night, the school board president, the vice president, and Lori Reed went to one of y'all's deputies, the sheriff's deputy, and asked them to trespass us from the school. We got the report, and the man said that we didn't do anything wrong. That's how it started. Well, I will tell you that I wouldn't ring a bell because I didn't get any service at the school. I rang a bell, and they sent me a trespass. One of your sheriff's deputies trespassed me from the school for ringing a bell. It wasn't done properly either. Well, we went back to a meeting here not too long ago on 2/27/2023. Chris Schuhart, Vivian Schuhart, Larry Sitter, there were several people there at this meeting. Chris Schuhart got up there to Susan's comments and he spoke about me, he spoke about Jess Fisher, he spoke about several people, called us cowards, called me women of the military, women of the U, made several insulting comments about us. He went to go walk out of this meeting, and Mr. Beck asked him to please explain what he said derogatory about Mr. Clay Benford. Well, at this time, we went outside, Terry and then went outside and had was talking to Chris and Vivian. I walked out a minute later and I asked Chris a question. I asked him a simple question. Chris, can you please explain to me what the friendly lawsuit you walked through Castroville was? At that time, he turned around and cussed at me, used the F word toward me. His wife used the F word toward me and said she was going to call the sheriff and have him come arrest me. His deputy, the sheriff's deputy, Officer Valle, Deputy Valle, was standing there the whole time. Supposedly, he's supposed to have her video camera on. It wasn't recorded. The sheriff says there's only 2 minutes of videotape. When I was there for 2 hours.
I'll let you just wrap it up. You can wrap it up.
Well, I'm not going to be able, I'm going to have to come back multiple times to talk to y'all because there's a lot involved here with this. I will tell you that this commissioner, Larry Sitter, Chris Schuhart, they filed false charges on me. They made up false reports against me. Officer Valle, the deputy that you have working for you, wrote false reports on me and she wrote a lot about me. They sent the sitter off to Medina County DA's office, the sheriff's department, who sent it to Mark Hagee's office. Now, I want you to mind something. I've been for 1.5 years taking crimes to these guys. Terry and I, board members of the school board, everybody, the Texas Rangers, nothing was done. These guys make up false allegations against me, and within a day or two, the sheriff sends over the information to Mark Hagee. Mark Hagee sends these ridiculous charges against me to Kerr County to have me investigated while I'm running for office. While I'm running for the school board. All of it was false. Kerr County did absolutely nothing with it. Nothing. They've been doing this for a while, guys. I'm here to tell you, I'm going to bring evidence forward. We got outside investigators who are looking into all this stuff now. And I'm telling y'all had a former commissioner up here that y'all looked into and got rid of. You need to look at this man right here. Y'all need to look at his land deals. You need to look at his business practices and find out what he's been doing with his land, how he makes his money. He's made a lot of money representing Medina County, and he lied about a lot of people, me in particular. So y'all need to look at this. I thank you for your time.
All right, at this time, we will go into recess until the 10 o'clock portion of our meeting. Thank you. All right, good morning, everybody. We are going to call this session of the Commissioners Court back to order at 10 o'clock. Thank you, everybody, that joined us for the 10 o'clock session. We're going to go ahead and go to agenda item number 11, which is a public hearing to receive comment regarding the application to vacate and replat lot 22E of the new Alces subdivision located in Precinct 2 off of County Road 4770.
Yes.
Oh, you here for it? Right. Awesome. Do you want me to come on forward?
Actually, is this the public hearing?
It is.
Yes, we do have something.
Oh, okay. Okay, fantastic. So I'll go ahead and then open the public hearing at 10:01. And it is now open. Does somebody want to brief it first before we take the public comments?
I can do that.
Just brief it. That would be good. And then we'll do-
Yeah, this is a track that has been going for preliminary approval through addressing, through stuff going out through the county website or newspaper to be divided. It started off as a 2.5 acre tract. It got divided in half, about a year and a half ago, and to 2 equal parts. Now they're coming back to say they have a veteran that wants to buy the back acre, a half acre, or 3/4 acre, off of the first acre lot in the front. My only problem with this is the owner here, or I guess you represent the owner, whoever. When this thing first got started, he was going to live on one and sell the next one to a kinfolk, which is by our rules and regulations, it's fine. Then he comes back and tells me he's got a veteran that wants to buy the park in the back, another half the other acre and a half, to live in the back. Well, going through our rules and regulations, that's true. Then he called me up about a week later, they got another piece, are you doing that one today too?
No,
On, the other 2 acres you're gonna split?
no.
And he's planning on bringing another one to court, and now he tells me he's gonna live on that one. I just want, where you gonna live at?
No, sir.
It makes a big difference.
We're not bringing up, I don't have another property to split. I don't know.
You had a 2 acres where your daddy lives on, you're gonna live on half of yours, you're not gonna do that one up?
I don't have a father, sir. I think that might be another case, I'm sorry.
What was it, Heather?
He said that he doesn't have a father, that he thinks maybe you're thinking of a different one.
Okay, but anyhow, my thing is, are you gonna live on this 4740?
Yes, so we have that.
747.
And it's my uncle. I'm not selling it to a stranger. It's actually Cummins' family, so my family would be taking over the back lot.
So that's where I'm at on this, I can't figure out where you're gonna live at, so.
Okay, so just for clarification, we got the lots as it would become 22G and 22H.
Exactly.
And so on those 2 lots then, if you wouldn't mind, sir, just explain who's living or the plan of who would live where and what the, can you tell us that?
Yeah, so my mom's been needing
If
some
you
help.
don't mind, you can get water, please.
Yeah, so the intention of that is my mother would be on the front lot to provide residence there. We could be living with her, but she's needing a lot of help, so this is for family. And we would be living there, we're probably going to be leaving my current house to my kids. My daughter's already 20 years old, so that's the intention, is to make a potential move. The back lot would be provision for my family, my uncle, he's a veteran. But he is in need of also some streamlined residency. We've already done due diligence for water meters. That's going to be acceptable and able to provide there. Septic systems, likewise, that's already been approved through the environmental services along with the engineering to support that. So there's nothing that would be in violation of any type of other potential issues.
So there's one home already just filed, please?
No,
He says there's nothing.
Go.
it's pending this.
Okay.
So here's the issue, Keith. We have subdivision regulations for new subdivisions that have a set of 9 exceptions that they don't have to follow our planning requirements. One of those being selling to family members, dividing and selling to family members. However, this is not a new subdivision. This is a vacated replat, and sometimes we, for whatever reason, we apply our subdivision regs to the vacated replat portion. And I don't know if we're supposed to be doing that or not. This does not meet our acreage requirements, so it needs to be a half an acre, an acre.
I agree.
They've got water and septic, or septic, or public sewer. So according to our subdivision regs, it doesn't meet our requirements. And I don't know that it meets our exception rule because it's not a new subdivision. It's a vacated replat. So I've talked to our subdivision coordinator about this, and we're not sure how to handle that. We don't have regulations on lot size requirements on a vacated replat. The only thing that we can apply to that is our subdivision regulations. That's the closest thing we have. It's really not the same thing. It's really not a new subdivision.
I will say that on that property, it's actually primarily off of County Road 479 if you look at that. So that's most of the properties on that side. On that side of the development, that subdivision, there's approximately about 27 properties that are at the 0.5, 0.6 acres already. So this would be nothing new to the area. That's already been granted to that area. And any type of covenants that did exist, those have long since lapsed. So I believe that may have been entitled, but that's already been established. So I'm really not pursuing anything that's new to the area. It already has well over 20, 30-something properties there that are already at that 0.6.
So we're
Well before.
They may be. The problem is we're using our subdivision regulations to determine the lot size. So it's hard to say, okay, now we're not going to use our subdivision regulations that includes the exceptions to our plating process. So I hate to the opportunity to have an exception because you're selling it to family members. So in that regard, yeah, it's going to go to family members, and these are exception requirements.
And I don't have any intention on doing any other development, I don't have another property, it's just, but I do have a 1.25 acre property, that's staying the same, that's just, that there's nothing we're doing with that. So I will go on record to the board with that process.
Do we verify after this has been replatted that it was actually sold to a family member, or that's on the discretion of the owner?
That's good to know. I have no
I'm
record
willing to
of
submit that anyways if we don't.
And how are they gonna get into that second lot?
There's the easement that was already granted, that's actually in accordance to the state or the county requirements, which is a 30. And we actually doubled that, so it's a 60 easement. So we actually relinquished quite a bit of the property's use for that reason.
So you're saying the easement for the, to the back?
Yes, yes.
I don't see
You
it.
got 60 foot, right there.
Oh, okay, I see.
Like I say, David, I agree with you 100%. Here lately, for some reason, I have reread our subdivision rules and regulations about 5 times, starting about 2 o'clock in the morning in my office on some other issues we're having. We got some holes in it. I know we just went through all this stuff here. After about 5 years of rewrote it, I did find about a half a dozen other things that kind of need to be touched up on. Like I say, do we follow up who owns this? Is the only leeway right now, but better go on live with it. That's,
So I think we have the basics of it, just because we're in public hearing from the members, we're going to know kind of, so everybody's talking about it, we're all on the same page. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and we'll finish the public hearing portion of it. And then,
We have that.
yes, yeah, so if that's good, thank you, sir. All right.
Good morning, Commissioners. So I just wanted to let y'all make it clear that I'm coming to y'all not as a town employee, but as a landowner. So my land hits the VAT on lot, the 2.3 acres in the VAT, lot 53, that's my land. So my land is going to hit, and I'm the landowner. So there's several concerns that I have with this. I think you brought up some of them already, but that easement going through, at some point, there's already been some discussion in the back, and I know a lot of it is conjecture, but as far as, are they turning this into a trailer park, is some of the rumors that I've heard coming out, multiple structures on these pieces of land, and from a couple of meetings ago, I know the commissioner is not, for any kind of development like that. So it is a concern of ours. I'm representing my land, and the one right next door, I'm also representing that landowner as well. Obviously the aesthetics is part of it. These properties, if y'all look at the portion where those big houses that overlook Castro, this is all part of that same subdivision. Now, it is true that these restrictions expired in 2000. However, there's concern that what if this landowner, unfortunately, we don't live forever. So if this person is just, passes away or moves or whatever, what happens to that lot? Is that person in the front still going to be willing to let someone drive through their property to get to that road? And as you can see, there's 2 cul-de-sacs, so leaves very little room for them to even access that road on the side.
if you're talking about this, you're talking about the easement right here,
Yes, sir.
that's utility, they can't use the driveway. That's for utility. Most of them are 15, 12, 15, 20 feet, this right here.
I know the other
The
easement.
big one up top.
This one here tells them the 60 foot that's required to get to it, to this lot here.
So then how big is that?
If that there is connected to this, you gotta have a 60-foot easement to get to the property. That part has been done. However, they want to split this acreage up, looks like they got it exactly. They can leave that an easement. These people can use it, and this people can use it. Or they could have combined it to this lot here, which would have made this lot lot bigger and this lot smaller. Engineer, y'all understand that? Since y'all are here, there's several ways you could have done that. But like I said, this 60-foot easement here is just for here and here. They can't run that easement back into your property. That's not gonna happen.
Right, no, that's not my concern. My concern is any kind of dispute, I mean, there's already, conversations going on. And then it's also my understanding, just because of the wishy-washiness, that this question has come up before, and it wasn't even it didn't even make it to court. So I guess that's my question also, or I'm just expressing my not supporting this. Because is it just picking and choosing who gets to do this, or, because then I'm expressing that I'm not for it.
Okay, well, one more thing, I did talk to Pat Bronner, multiple locations on this thing. And he goes back to the homeowners rules and regulations, which they dropped their homeowners association in 2000. So if they would have had deed restrictions on all this piece of property, that would have been null and void. The next thing I asked Pat, okay, our rules say, is it in a platted subdivision? Yes, it is in a platted subdivision. It don't say if the rules and regulations have to be in place. It didn't say that. His theory of it is that by state law, if it's not a subdivision out in the country, you can put a house, septic tank on half acre. It's not a subdivision. It'd be my house, in other words. By law, you can but this is a subdivision. And I had some heated conversations with that, and really I never came to a clear conclusion who was right and who was wrong. So that's, David, that's where I'm at. Our rules do say there will not be, in a subdivision, we will not be less than 1 acre. That's clear and clear. Bonner says, well, the variances and all that stuff went out whenever they quit upholding their rules and regulations for the HOA. I said, Pat, that's not my thing. He said, our rules say, is this a platted subdivision? Yes, it is a platted subdivision. So my thinking, why I kept calling, well, it's got to be 1 acre. So I would make a motion on that.
We're still here.
Well,
We'll get out of that.
okay.
I don't know if you.
Further, if you would, just state your name for the record.
Yes, Ruby Gelsing.
Ruby Gelsing, okay. Yes, sir. You may approach the. Yes, sir, please come forward. And also, Ruby, to be clear, you were talking about your property and the one on the opposite side of the property? You said you were representing both?
Yes, the one right next door.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you have both sides. You're on one side and you're talking about the property on the other side?
Lot 22C on the far.
Oh, okay, down there. Okay, got it. All right, thank you. Yes, sir, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Ray Torres. Thank you for letting me address the Commissioner's Court. I live right across the street from this lot, in lot 69. Been there 23 years. When we first bought all that property, it's 2 acres. It was a minimum of 1.5 acres or 2 acre lots. And I bought mine. Gradually, the lots started getting cut up. And my concern with this project is you're going to have 3 different buildings, or 3 different homes, that we understood the gentleman talked about this. That cul-de-sac is not wide enough, and the traffic alone is not going to be able to be get traffic in and out of there. The cul-de-sac is not very big. The other cul-de-sac, it's funny, that road is cut in half, and I'm right there. Both cul-de-sacs right there at my home, right in front of my house, my property. One of the cul-de-sacs has already been cut off by the other neighbor next to this man's property with a fence. Now, I don't have a cul-de-sac on that side. Now, the other side does have a cul-de-sac, but I'm very concerned with the amount of traffic we're going to have in and out of there, and the 3 buildings that are going to be on there. I don't think the neighborhood was originally meant for that, for all these structures on 1 acre or 2 acres. And I appreciate Commissioner Citry, bringing that up, that the original plan for that whole neighborhood, which was platted, you all say subdivision, was for larger lots. It was single-family homes. Detached garage is allowed. So I hope that this is considered seriously, and you know, I have nothing against the man. I mean, I'd love to have a neighbor across the street, but not so many homes in there. And I don't know if the water system can handle it. So that's my input.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? All right, we will close. Oh, I'm sorry.
I would just like to
Please
see,
come
if-
forward.
I would just like to see if the court would just evaluate the rules that meet subdivisions versus platted, vacated plots. So maybe we need to, y'all need to sit down and have a meeting to determine what should be a subdivision requirement and what should be a vacated replat.
We'll do my suggestion.
Yes, sir.
And just to address some of the other concerns, it's not going to be a tripper. It's a house, mother-in-law suite, and yes, a house for the other half acre. So when we're looking at that and whatever arrangement, it's only for family. This is not something that's looking to be a development. And again, with many, many properties already established at the 0.6 or 0.5 acres that are already established, somewhere along the lines, this is an allowed provision I've already covered with the environmental services that the septics would, and they would support that in the subdivision. And that was from, I believe, Eric on the environmental side, so that's already been confirmed. Water, it can be supported because we already crossed that and done diligence on that, so the water's okay. Again, likewise, there's actually some flag lots on this property, in this subdivision too. We are avoiding that. We're not doing a flag lot. But somewhere along the lines, flag lots were okay to support to do this for family. This is all this is, and we're not looking to increase any type of traffic. My mom's alone. It's only going to be her in a house. So I would hope that's not a concern. But that's our overall drive. Everything I read in the county provisions supports that. Just that is the use of our properties for our families. And this easement would stay. So if there is a concern with how does this stay, well, it would come back to the court if someone was trying to get rid of that easement for you to deny, because that's probably not going to be a good thing. So if it's going to be held and confined to the standards and provisions that are written up on there, we've done diligence on our end with Really Associates to make this, and we've crossed every due diligence that we've had on our part to ensure that this is backed up by everything up to this point.
There's one more thing we do, and I think I talked to him about that.
Let's finish the public and we'll go into
Okay.
a short discussion.
Can I
Anybody
get your
else?
name, sir? I didn't get your name.
Robert Setucha, Z-E-R-T-U-C-H.
Okay.
Any other public comments? All right, I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 10:20 a.m. So now we'll move to item number 12, discuss and take possible action on final approval of the vacate replat lot 22E of the New Alcis subdivision located in precinct 2 off of County Road 4770. So we have actually have the background on it, so I guess at this point, go ahead and we'll resume the discussion.
Yes, sir. So we just discussed this.
Several times.
Yes.
Several times.
Yeah, so I do recall when Mr. Zertucci first came to me asking about doing this, I said, you need to go and speak with the commissioner to get his blessing before we even go on the ground and do a survey, because it didn't exactly follow all the rules and regs. So he did that, and that's where we started from. So he said he got a blessing from you to move forward, which is why we did the survey. We've been just following instructions from you, Mr. Sitter, and from them for what we wanted to do with the property. So we're seeking final approval for this replat to create these 2 lots in this subdivision.
in my mind, we are going to use our subdivision regulations to regulate vacates and replats, which is really all we have. Then this does meet our requirements. The lot sizes are smaller than they are supposed to be, but the fact that he's going to sell it to family members, which is an exception in our subdivision regs, that meets our requirements.
David,
There's no way to verify.
what was that part that you said, if it's already a developed subdivision versus a new subdivision? Was
Well, if it's a developed subdivision and you divide it, that's called a vacate and replat within a subdivision. And we do that all the time. But it has to meet we apply our subdivision requirements to those vacates and replats, meaning the lot sizes have to be the right in the county specs,
which is 1 acre?
which is 1 acre in this case. So he's less than 1 acre. However, at the beginning of our subdivision regulations, which was what we're using to apply here, there's a list of 9 exceptions that are state mandated, except for one that the county mandates. One of the state mandated exceptions is that if you're selling it to family members, I think it's 2 to 4, something like that, family members, you don't now have to abide by our subdivision regulations and the plating process, which is what he's doing. So that kind of negates our subdivision regs, according to our subdivision regs.
Exactly.
That sounds confusing, but I'm not sure how else to explain it. So according to our regs, he meets the exception if he's doing it for family members. The bigger question is, do we apply our subdivision regs to vacate and replats? Which is what we've done historically, because we don't have anything else. We have subdivision regs. And so when you vacate and replat something within, you're not building a new subdivision, you're dividing up an existing subdivision, and all we have is the regular plat.
And as long as they got that half acre, we're good on the second thing, by state law.
Yeah.
The only other thing that could have happened, we wouldn't have to come here, is the uncle here could have built a house back there, don't buy nothing. That's it. My problem with this rule that we're dealing with here, if somebody comes in to, say Coleman Oaks had an acre in the corner lot, sell off the house back there, according to our rules, that's legal. How do you think people go with those feel about that? But anyhow, like I said, I think we're hung between a rock and a hard spot here. It's just, and I agree with her thing. If this were better, yeah, we're here to help. As family member, we're here to help. Well, I hope we see that happen.
Well, the question is if it goes to the family member,
Yeah. But we don't need to go to that level to check to see who's buying these lots.
Right, which is a bigger concern than me, but we don't.
And that's
Yeah, and it, obviously, everybody doesn't live forever, which was pointed out, and so at some point, it may not be a family member. But initially, the division to a family member kind of is the exception that we use.
Yes, sir, you can go ahead.
So again, we're leaning on that exception of a family member. I don't have a problem providing that after the fact. We're going through Mr. Russell, Richard, to do the actual deeding of that, or either Bill. So that's fine. I will go above whatever is established to provide certification. The other reason my family member wants that platted lot also so that he can get into his own family. So that's our family still. There's no intention to try to divide or what have you. So that's actually the driving force behind this, is to leave something viable for family now. So that's, I would.
But down the road, the concern down the road is at some point that, to me, you can monitor that all the way through.
All the way through.
You can have it as a family member and be in a divorce and it's not in the family anymore because they got part of it.
And this is a perfect example of that. Actually, all of that's on there belonged to the same homeowner years ago, and now it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's 5 different homeowners around.
in the same block of land.
Right, and that same piece all belong to one homeowner at one point.
And I understand that. I think the same is true for any replats that you're having to do. We can't, that sounds true for any property out there that you approve. It always has an exponential outcome of it deviating from whenever it was originally. The Castroville wouldn't be Castroville if that was the case, but that's not the intention 10 years, 20 years. This is just for family and they're.
That's true as far as the county's concerned, but HOAs and POAs regulate that.
Absolutely.
You know,
And
the
there
county
is none.
does. Well, since there is none, it's a moot point here, but that's the importance of maintaining those and keeping them up to date. Those of y'all that live in subdivisions,
Absolutely.
because once they're gone, then we're forced to use our county regulations, and they may not be as strict as.
I think the concern with that was the easement that's gonna be placed on the first lot. What if that homeowner at some point down the line says, hey, this is my property?
Well, they can't, I mean.
If they have to use it.
I'm not sure if you use Richard Russell will cover that.
It's a legal easement, I mean, that's,
That second lot will have access to that easement.
there may be water on the easement, but they'll still be able to use it.
Exactly.
All right.
Well, with the facts that put in front of us, either you like them or not, I will approve the new lot, and I'll say subdivision.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to grant final approval of the vacate replat, lot 22, the new Alsus subdivision located in precinct 2 off County Road 4770.
David, I would recommend you put that down on our subdivision rules and regulations checklist.
Yes, we need to.
Like that, now, Mr. Torres could have went in where he lives across the street. He was bad as, aunt, uncle that live back here right behind him. There's really nothing we can do on our end. You don't have to apply the law.
Before, and I will say, one other thing that Mr. Torres, I think he brought up about the cul-de-sac
Yes,
that has a fence across it.
Yes.
Because if I'm looking right, those are county roads back there, they're not private.
Let me tell you what, you want the story on that.
Sure.
At one point, Alsatian West and East had a bad connection between each other, and they put a dirt pile in the middle.
right, that's right in front of my house.
Right, exactly. So the county does have 40 feet. And at that time, he didn't have this lot down there. There was only one other landowner, and there was not. They built that house after I got here. And what they did, they just went down there and they started making a big circle. Well, not a big circle, you can barely turn a pickup truck around it without backing up, turning around. That was their cul-de-sac. This road supposedly should go on through into the other subdivision where at one time the Hatfield and Coins lived on each side. That's virtually what it was. They didn't want, one side didn't want them to drive through their subdivision. So that's why I think they had put a barricade, they had somebody before I even got here, put a big pile of dirt right in the middle.
It's been there for 20
Well, I guess
plus years.
my question or concern is,
I'm having to go back in there and open that road.
if we're talking about it's a county road, it
County road.
should have a fence across it, that's my concern.
It wasn't bad, they piled dirt.
Well, I thought he said it was fenced across the line.
Okay, that's on this man's property, and he's not legal right to have that fence there.
Okay, so it is not, that part's
Yeah.
not on the road.
I called and some people came out right away, this is his property land.
Okay, so
So
the
it's
fence
been
is
there
not,
for 20 plus years.
that's what they use as a cul-de-sac or whatever, but it is not the county.
It is not a county cul-de-sac.
But the dirt in the middle is in the county road.
Yeah, we'll have to go there and open that up. It all depends on how much money I have to go over every month.
All right. How many scoops is it?
It's a mess.
So it's gonna be opened up eventually?
Eventually, we need to open that road up.
I appreciate it, because people are, with trailers, they've already knocked down my mailbox twice, because it can't get around anymore. So I appreciate it, maybe cut through, so
Yeah, we need to open that road up.
thank you.
For more than one reason.
Thank you.
I have a question about that, because of the two different street names.
There are two differences.
Yeah, where they meet 4770 and 479?
What would it become?
What's the question?
Yeah, we have two roads here that crash into each other, have two different numbers.
Right, but what's your question?
Would we just leave the code
I think we'd
there?
leave the road just, yeah, we wouldn't change them, they would just butt into each other there.
Okay.
Whatever the addresses are now, they just stay the same. but
That
we-
pile of dirt where you're talking about is about my area,
Okay.
and it's the middle of the creek.
All right, so any other discussion? All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. next we have item 14, discuss and take possible action on final approval and vacate, final approval of vacate and plat lot 17 of Quail Valley. I'm sorry, I skipped right over it. Right over public hearing. Public hearing, item 13, we received comment regarding application to vacate and plat lot 17 of Quail Valley subdivision located in precinct 1 off of County Road 4614. You want to brief that one also?
Yep.
And I'll go ahead and open the public hearing at 10:32. Is this one yours also?
Yes.
You want, if you want, you can pull out just while we brief it,
Okay.
and then we'll see if anybody's here for public comment. You want to just?
Sure, yes, so we are seeking final approval to replat lot 17 of Coral Valley subdivision located off of County Road 4614. This property owner owns lot 17 and also the 1.018 acre tract of unplatted land just to the south. He approached us was interested in replatting those two tracts into a 4.529 acre and a 1.5 acre tract. We've already received preliminary approval. He has 2 water meters. They both have the needed frontage on the county road. So we're just seeking final approval at this point.
All right, do we have anybody here for our public comments? No public comments, okay.
I'm assuming that there will be restrictions in Quail Valley.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will close the public hearing at 10:34. And we'll move to item 14, discuss and take possible action on final approval of vacate and replat of lot 17 of Quail Valley subdivision located in precinct 1 off of County Road 4614.
I will make a motion that we approve the lot 17 vacate and replat in Quail Valley subdivision precinct 1 off 4614.
Second.
Have a motion.
The lady don't make a mistake.
Not very long.
She don't make a mistake.
I have a motion and a second for the final approval of the vacate replat of lot 17 of Quail Valley subdivision. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
So you got another one.
I do, yes.
Item 15, discuss and take possible action on preliminary approval of vacate replat portion of lot 9A of the San Antonio Trust subdivision located in precinct 2 off of County Road 6710.
So this is the one we're going to table.
Okay.
We're going to table this until we get some approval from Yancey Water.
Okay.
East.
Not Yancey
East
Water,
Medina.
from East Medina.
Okay.
Everything else has been okay through Pat Warner. It's plain and simple.
Okay.
We're just waiting on the water.
Okay. You want to make a motion to table?
I will make a motion to table it until we get further information from East Medina.
I have a motion and a second to table item 15. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 16, discuss and take possible action on granting a 6-month extension to the preliminary plat of Las Pincas subdivision located in precinct 1 off of County Road 4643. Mr. Wilmers, good morning, sir.
Good morning. This particular project was presented and unanimously approved for preliminary on August 25th of last year. We're getting close. The vast majority of everything has been built. There is still some ongoing work for finished grading to handle drainage correctly. We're back and forth with the contractor on that, and Respect is verifying that. Also waiting on some easement information to come from Medina Electric as far as what easements may be required for distribution of their overhead electric within the subdivision. And HOA paperwork was recently received. That was forwarded to be considered as currently being reviewed. So we're in the final final stages of it, hoping that everything can be wrapped up and maybe we can be on the agenda for early September for final, but that remains to be seen. So at this point, all we're seeking is just a 6-month extension to finish off those remaining items.
Yeah, with all the slowdowns we've had, all the electrical slowdowns we've had, and everything else, we have been granting the attention, and I'll be more glad to grant it for 6 more months.
Have a motion and a second to grant the 6-month extension to the preliminary plat of Las Fincas subdivision. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item 17, discuss and take possible action on preliminary approval of Hunter's Ranch subdivision unit 15C located in precinct 2 off of County Road 381.
They're not here today, but I'll go ahead and make the approval. We have located the 15C in precinct 2. Just ready for opposition.
Have a motion and a second to grant preliminary approval of Hunter's Ranch subdivision unit 15C. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 18, update on preliminary assessment findings of the Texas Historical Courthouse Preservation Program and facilities opportunities. At this time, I'm going to ask Gabriella with McKinstry to come forward. Gabriella's been here before y'all before in the presentation. Also, welcome to our folks that are here with the historical group today. Appreciate y'all being here this morning to listen to this. We're trying to make sure that we have y'all in the loop every step of the way on this project that we're looking at. So Gabby's going to give us an update this morning on kind of things that she's found since last time, and then leads to the next item. So.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Judge, Commissioners, and audience, for listening to today's update. It's more of a review of what we covered last time and what the next steps are and what the road looks like to getting to applying for this grant and to getting the funds and actually implementing the improvements over the courthouse. So just a bit of a background on me, since it's been a little bit of time since I came and spoke to you all. I'm here with McKinstry, so we work with my focus is counties, but our McKinstry works with counties, cities, school districts around the state and beyond, but our Texas team is from here, Texas City, working here. And we've done a lot of courthouse renovations. We're used to working with historical commissions, the Texas one specifically, but also in Arkansas, to make sure that any improvements that are made are compatible with their standards, their guidelines. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of instances where counties will have to do immediate repairs, but the repairs aren't following the historic guidelines of their courthouse. So when they go to seek funding later on from the THC or their historical commission, they can't receive the funds, or they have to tear down whatever additions they made, or they have to incur more costs to redo things the way the THC wants them done. So we include them in every step of the process. I've been working with one of the project reviewers across the state. So then whenever we first came in and I started talking to Judge Lutz, I looped her in to make sure that I knew the most updated criteria for the upcoming grant, what the timeline looked like. As you all know, we received the great news that they increased the funding per county to $10 million. That's great news to be able to really make these improvements. As a lot of you know, in the past, the commission has preferred that additions get torn down, or that you rebuild things like the clock towers or central towers in general. I know that it's a little bit difficult for counties that have offices and additions, and taking away those offices just it's not something that makes sense logistically for the county. The good news is that your additions, east and west, are both compatible with the architectural style of the original courthouse, which means that they can stay. They also acquired architectural significance. They're over 50 years old. So for those of you that may not know, that the era that those were built in was the works progress administration era. That's when FDR, he was in office from around 33 to 45. And that was an era of trying to provide work and stimulating the economy after the Great Depression, and that's the era that those were built in. So the good news is that makes the county really competitive in the architectural portion of the scoring criteria. McKinstry tackles these grants from a perspective of wanting to be really competitive, to make sure that we get as much funding as possible. Throughout these processes, if any other grants that we're working on across the state are coming to our radar, we will bring those to the county to supplement any additional funding to make sure that we're ready in the event that we get allocated less than the total cost of repairs. We have a plan B and a plan C for funding the improvements. So throughout this whole process, when we're working with counties on courthouses, we're doing jails, community centers, EOCs, whatever building it is, we make sure to include the community. In Frio County, for example, when we were building those projects, we were there at town halls, we listened to their local groups that from each precinct that had a specific set of demands, they wanted to ask questions, so we made sure to involve the community as early on as possible so that we never come to the table with, here you go, there's a project ready to go, and no one is informed or understands why certain decisions were made. It's exciting that the Medina Historical Commission is here. I was here last time, I think, when they received the award from the THC. When we first visited the courthouse and did that initial walk to look at kind of what were the repairs needed, things like drainage repairs or structural assessments and repairs, water damage, weather stripping, for example, to prevent cold air, air-conditioned air to be pumped outside because of air escaping. That's a big cost drain whenever you're paying your utility to supply that power. So throughout that whole process, since the very beginning, we walked together the courthouse and made sure that as we begin the process, we're still early on. After today, we then do the next step of figuring out how the county wants to hire someone to take care of this, to continue to lead the project comprehensively. We walked through last time the difference between design, bid, build construction and then design, build. So typically the county has to deal with many parties, right? There may be an architect involved, an engineer, multiple subs, the contractor, and the county sometimes has to act as the expert managing all of those different parties. That's one way to do it. Communication sometimes gets a little bit difficult when there's things like historical guidelines to follow. And then a lot of the risk is on the county. So the design build process came about to put the risk on the firm, that is the design build firm that then manages all of those parties. I will say that King Street has engineers and architects and a construction team on staff. Although we do work with the county once has a local electrical engineer or a local vendor that they love working with, we'll work with them. So we're vendor neutral on that as well. So the design build process is usually through local government code 262.023. So that allows for this process to take place. There's many different ways, as you know, that the county can procure work. You can do it through a purchasing cooperative, or you could do a public solicitation through something like an RFQ process, and the industry is always more than comfortable competing for that. But that's just an overview of next steps for you to get ready for that February deadline that the Historical Commission would like an update to the master plan since it is over a decade old. So it takes time to get everyone on site to start looking at the previous drawings that were done in 2009, 2010, and start making an implementation plan so that it's not only applying for this grant, right? It's making sure that that design is compatible with the actual usage, the offices that are already in the courthouse, any changes that you want to do in the future. If some certain offices aren't configured in the best way, how do we prepare them now to be configured in a way that makes sense for the different offices that are there? So that's an overview of the process. That's kind of the next step before you start doing a design or before you start doing what we call owner's project criteria, where you get everyone to the table, commissioners, judge, and anyone from the Medina Historical Commission and round table to walk through what the guidelines are, what the design would look like, any of those steps first. You have to figure out how to procure. So that's just a brief overview. The scope, like I mentioned, other things are finishing up different lighting improvements, ductwork and insulation, a few electrical improvements where there's wiring hanging from certain areas, water damage to the ceiling and roof that have naturally happened as wear and tear. So that's a quick snapshot of the process that needs to take place, of the great news that we received that you do not have to tear down your additions. And it's been great working with the Historical Commission. They've done a great job of being really excited because of the era that those additions were done and being really communicative and making sure that we're competitive for that grant.
Thank you.
you. Thank you to you. I mean, I know you've done a lot of legwork on this, and I appreciate what you found out for us. So we appreciate what you've done, and we will see where we're on our next step here.
I got a quick question.
Yes.
You talked about looking at the previous plans and seeing they were compatible. I mean, the previous plans obviously had the two wings torn off, had a clock tower built in the middle. How is that compatibility going to be measured what we want to do now?
Yes, so they said that there's two scenarios approved in the THC records for Medina County. So one of those is to tear down the additions, so pre-1942, and then the other one that's approved is the 1942 additions included. She said that one, since they knew you couldn't think that wasn't a route they were going to want to take, there's more work and design done on the first, so that's why we would need to do another master plan. And we're looking into other funds to supplement pay for that master plan.
Yes, and to that point, which I know you talked about it a couple of times, we think it's roughly maybe like $150,000 upfront cost to us that we would recoup back in the project, but to get through that master plan part of it. So, and to try to get all this done, to be able to submit an application, because these are for the new rounds of funds that start at $10 million. And if I remember correctly, it's $45 million total. Is that right?
So although the cap is
Right,
large,
so, yeah, $45 million total, so we definitely would like to get in on the first round of it, not down the road. But all of those projects, some projects may only qualify for $1 million for some kind of update, so it's not like there's only 4.5 projects at $10 million a piece. So, but they do feel like our project is a good project that would probably qualify us for the max amount to do what we would do. So, all right, thank you.
perfect, thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Okay, so next we have item number 19, discuss and take possible action on authorization to advertise a high-performance design build RFQ to assist Medina County with facilities upgrades and/or improvements, which is what we're talking about now. And you have a large document in front of you, which would put us, ask for a request for qualifications, and it's got the evaluation process and how we would go about evaluating when we get them back inside the packet. We've got a little bit in yellow, as you can see in here. We just got to go back and fill in our timelines and stuff on the document before it agrees to move forward with this. And then we would try to get moving on it to make sure that we get all of the things we need ahead of time to submit in February.
I'll make the motion that we advertise for the design build RFQ.
One second. We have a motion and a second that we approve the authorization to advertise for the high-performance design build RFQ. Any other discussion? And would y'all have anything from the Historical Commission that you'd like to say, or just because y'all here? And I appreciate you coming out this morning.
Well, we appreciate it. I don't.
Chuck, you?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, so it's a little right.
Yeah, you think?
You good?
Okay. We're the only members here, so, but no, we're very excited about it.
Thank you.
And we're there to help you whenever you need us.
Thank you. You'll get to help a lot. Thank you. Okay, any other discussions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. And Gavin, thank you again. Appreciate you being here this morning. Okay, next we have item number 20. Discuss and take possible action on approval of Department of State Health Services Disparities Program Contract Number HHS 0010576 00032, Amendment Number 2 to the Health Unit. This one is,
We're just removing
This is
the
the same with
COVID
the COVID.
program.
Yeah, so last one, we had another one of these, and it's the same deal, that they can't use their monies like for advertising and things to do with COVID, so it's the same thing as the previous one.
I'll make the motion that we approve the Department of State Health Services Third Program.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the ESHSH Disparities Program Contract HHS 0010576000032, Amendment 2. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 21, discuss and take possible action on approval of Texas Indigent Defense Statement of Grant Award Fiscal Year 2024 improvement grant for the Hill Country Regional Public Defender's Office. So this is the actual grant that funds the Public Defender's Office. And this is it's an annual grant, and this is our award letter. As you all know, all of those funds do come to Medina County. We're the person that manages that program on behalf of the PDO.
The amounts are there on the second page. Broken down by different categories, the total amount of the proposed budget, the county contributions, and then what we're expecting to get back from TIC.
So the total grant is $2,446,511.
The grant, yes.
Correct. That's what we're approving.
Do we know what percentage of the 1.2 million is Medina County?
Yes, we do. Because we just put it on budget, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We have a breakdown for each. We just send it to all the counties so that way they can budget that percentage.
How many counties?
35.
We'll send it, people that numbers and send them. Would you mind sending that out?
I'll move that we approve the Texas Indigent Defense Statement of Grant Award for fiscal year 2024.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Texas Indigent Defense Statement of Grant Award fiscal year 2024 for the improvement grant for the Hill Country Regional PDO. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion does carry. Item 22, discuss and take possible action on approval of commercial lease with the George Creek Property LLC for office space located at 116 West Blanco, Texas, for the Hill Country Regional Public Defender's Office. So this is a lease for space in Bernie. Again, these funds would be coming out of the grant that you just approved. They currently have office space in Kerrville, and they want to move locations over to Bernie because of employee retention. Really, they can get these attorneys and stuff right there from San Antonio. They're having a hard time with some of the staffing, trying to get them to live in Kerrville, especially some of the young attorneys. They like to live there on the edge of town. So that's really the main reason for having this other location in Bernie. So again, that would be funded out of the grant funds of the PDO.
I will make that motion.
Okay.
We've had somebody look over this lease.
Yes, we have. This one, we haven't said, this one's been Natalie also.
Yeah, he said
Yes.
we can bid, yes.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I would have asked her if she's still this morning, so. Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve the commercial lease with George Creek Properties LLC for office space located at 116 West Blanco in Bernie for the Hill Country Regional Public Defender's Office. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 23, discuss and take possible action on authorization to issue requests for proposals for administrative and plan writing services relating to FEMA hazard mitigation assistance. Mr. Chadwick, good morning.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Just a couple pieces of information. Medina County's current hazard mitigation plan will expire in 2025. The current plan includes Medina County, the cities of Castroville, Devine, Hondo, LaCoste, and Italia. It's about a 2-year process to go through the process to get a new hazard mitigation plan in place. And so starting it as soon as we can, we're going to be entering that 2-year bubble because of all the public meetings and other things that you're required by the federal government to do. So our opportunity is the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, specifically DR 4705, severe winter weather storm that we had in 2023 is available. The application period is June 8th, 2023, so we're already just a little behind on that. It goes through November 3rd. There's a 75-25 match on that. The maximum amount of grant award has not been determined at this time. However, funding is on a first-come, first-served basis, so the longer that we put off on this, the harder it's going to be. Eligibility, we are eligible to apply under the hazard mitigation plan requirements. The next step would be for the county to go through the RFP process to select an administrator to assist with the application writing and administration. And then to start the process, the county would give authorization to county staff to move forward with the development of the RFP. Authorization does not commit the county to anything at this point. Once the RFP has been evaluated, the county will award for writing the application and preparing the plan. And the RFP evaluation process will include staff who will submit their recommendations to the Commissioner's report for consideration.
So it takes 2 years to do this. How long is the plan good for?
5 years.
It's 5 years.
And it's really, the onerous part of it is during that time period is each jurisdiction that's going to be covered, they have to make those meetings. And there has to be public meetings, and we have to document all that. And if the jurisdictions do not engage in those meetings, then they are not covered by that plan.
I'll make a motion that we authorize to issue requests for proposals for administrative plan writing services related to FEMA hazard mitigation assistance. Second.
Have a motion and a second to authorize for the issue of request for proposals for administrative plan writing services for the FEMA hazard mitigation assistance. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 24, discuss and take possible action on implementation of the countywide burn ban.
I'll take care of that.
You're going to burn ban?
But that's your done.
My suggestion on the motion is, I'll let you brief where we are, sir, before everybody knows, but I'll still let you.
As of this morning, because at 10 o'clock every morning is when the Texas A&M Forest Service updates the KBI, which is the drought index. We are at 643. It tops out at 800. Anything north of 450 is a hazardous area. Through processes that the judge put in place when he was in my position, we've been controlling burning. Anything larger than a 10 by 10, I had to actually go out and do an inspection on and issue an exception letter for. But we're at a point now, our relative humidity every day, every afternoon, is dropping below 30%, and some days it's dropping into the low 20s. Those two things, if you think of it as a fire triangle between the KBDI, relative humidity, and the wind speed, having two of those in a hazardous area, we see across the state right now what's happening in burning. So we have tried to do everything we can to put this off as long as possible. But I think that we're at the point now where we don't have any choice. We need a burn ban.
On your motion, if you would, my recommendation is we'll do today, which is August 10th at 11:59 p.m.
Okay.
That way there's no confusion about the word midnight or whatever it comes in.
So I got till midnight to burn my brush.
No, you have till 11:59 p.m. But you haven't voted yet. That's not
One of the things though is this exception process.
There's an exception clause.
I can come out and I can inspect it and make sure that things are in place that we need, and we can do it the right way.
Even word during the burn ban.
During the burn ban, that's part of the exception process. However, we're not, that's just not a blanket thing we offer to anybody.
Agriculture, for example, is right there. But
Mark, just for the average person who doesn't own acres and acres of land, when you say burn ban, like there's no burning at all?
No outdoor burning authorized during this time period. Right. There's a couple of legal exceptions, like the judge was mentioning in statute, the agricultural burning, which is the burning of residual crop material in a field, because that actually puts nutrients and resources back into the field. That has an exception. However, we still want to work with those individuals and make sure it's being done right and safely.
Again, for the average person, trash burning in a barrel to cover.
Yeah, that's.
If it's in a barrel and they're burning it, now we know, I mean, so we have one of our fire chiefs sitting right back there. Right now, anybody that sees any smoke is calling 911. Because they're scared to death, because we remember what happened last year in the Dosco fire. 1,100 acres, 8 homes, and 8 days of burning in Medina County. These are the things we want to avoid.
But to go back to his question, like a barrel, is that?
But any outdoor burning, they need to call. Okay. And that's part of what I'm going to be doing messaging. I will send it out on Facebook, and I will send it out on iInfo, which goes to about 11,000 residents in Medina County, and make sure that those people know, and I'll be sending something out to the media as well. And of course, we have one of our media members here. We'll be working with them on doing a press release. Oh,
Two of them.
I'm sorry, I didn't even notice you.
Well,
Chief, what you got?
I'm in trouble
I
now.
think you are in trouble.
That's okay.
May
I've
I
been there before.
interject
Oh, hold
something?
on one second. I got Chief in the back. I recognize.
I will say, right now, we are one of very, very few counties that are not under burn ban in the state. It's a great way to control it, and I'm sure the county probably intend to do it the same way as last year. That also, we have 3 days worth of rain, we're still legally under a burn ban. There's no requirement to specifically enforce it that day. I mean, Judge Leach used to open up and say, hey, we're going to let them burn some stuff off tomorrow so we can get the fuel out of the way. But I think it's a great way to control it right now, because it is getting quite interesting.
I'm going to do this, and want to do those exceptions.
You sure, Judge? Maybe you got just a little extra time and you'll ride out.
No, sir.
Judge, can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
interject something?
Yes, you may.
Don't remember if it was last year or the year before, but there was a pretty good sized wildfire that was caused when someone was burning in a barrel with very windy conditions. The sparks caused a fire.
Right.
And it threatened some homes. This was in the Divine area, and it threatened homes out in that area.
And that's where we need to make sure our messaging to the public is clear. If you use a burn barrel, it needs to have a grate on top. And not one, yeah, a small grate, not one of these that's got 2-inch gaps in it. And even with that, I think that what we need to do is we need to limit that to morning time only, because that's when our humidity is higher. It's in the afternoon, especially in the late afternoon, that our humidity right now is bottoming out.
I make a motion that we implement countywide burn ban. Sometime after 11:59 p.m.
August 10th. Okay, I have a motion and a second to institute a countywide burn ban effective August 10th, 2023, 11:59 p.m. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you so much. All right, next item we have is item number 25, discuss and take possible action on authorization to apply for a grant with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service Wildlife Services Program for a county feral hog abatement grant. Good morning, sir.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
Speak to you, it's me, how about yourself?
Doing fine, thank you.
So this grant opportunity, in case you don't know, we got a lot of feral hogs in our county and in Texas. I think the last estimate was 2.8 to 4 million hogs across the state. Roughly $52 million in agriculture damage, and that's just ag damage, so it's not damage to homeowners' yards or anything like that. What this grant would do, and it has to have y'all's approval before we pursue it, is it would allow us to go and pursue getting starting an abatement program. So buying traps, T-post, anything that goes out with that, and doing basically a trap lease program where we could loan program where we would loan those traps out to landowners for a set amount of time under not regulation, but just under the stipulation that we get those back and can give them to landowners further on down the road. With this grant, they give $100,000 a year away to 15 counties. These grants can be from $5,000 to $20,000 a piece. But the main thing with this is just the abatement side of it. We also have an education portion to where it can help us with our education for either experienced landowners or new landowners, because Lord knows we're getting a lot of new landowners in this county, and they need to understand the implementations that come with having feral hogs on their property. They tear your property up. They carry, I think the last thing I heard was 67 diseases. And then also, you know, your watershed, protecting our watersheds is a major thing that we need to take advantage of and try to control these guys. I don't know if you had anything that you saw else that you might have saw in that grant. But
Yeah, you pointed out all the, everything we discussed.
What's the county match?
there's not that I understand. So what it is, it will be an upfront type, like when we go to buy a trap, we would buy the trap through probably our budget, and then we would get reimbursed by Texas A&M.
I've seen where some counties, instead of doing trapping and stuff like that, where they're actually putting a bounty in a
Yes, so we
line.
could,
Is that something we could do?
we could do a bounty with this, but with that, the state will only do 50%. So for if we put $2 on, they put $1 on. Now, there's nothing saying that we can't implement we can start bounty programs to where, you know, we request more funding from other resources, or we have a pay-in program where we do a dime an acre or something of that nature. We had one similar to that in Kimball County where I came from, and we were able to boost it up to $6 a hog. But I realize that people do get money from hunting hogs, but at the same time, we have farmers and ranchers that are dealing with it, and even if you're a wildlife owner, they're tearing up our fawn crops as well. So with that, it would, in my mind, be a really good opportunity for us to try to at least just get the wheels rolling, because it's due on August 20th. Yes, at the end of the month. So we can get our wheels rolling. We could look at an abatement program with the trap, so we can try to do the bounty side. I've seen it used both ways. Half and half of the counties they'll either have the traps or they'll have the bounty program. But with the bounty program, then we have to find another source for that money.
And this is just to apply.
Yes.
And we've applied for this one before, but did not receive it.
We have.
Correct?
We have applied.
So it's 15 counties that we did.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we apply for the grant.
I have a motion and a second to apply for the grant with Texas A&M AgriLife for the feral hog abatement grant. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion does carry. Hey, Karen, that number you gave, did you say 2.4 to 2.8 million?
2.8 to 4 million.
2.8 dollars. Do we have, is there a number for us in our county?
We don't really have one.
I think about half of those maybe here.
Well, it's hard to number as well.
Yeah.
So we don't really have one because we don't have county trappers to measure our numbers. But I'm sure Matt Reedy could really answer that question.
Okay. All
So
right.
thank y'all.
Thank you. Item 26, discuss and take possible action on approval of Medina County schedule for reimbursement of jurors and prospective jurors effective September 1, 2023. So you have that in front of you. It talks about the $20 for the first day, or fraction thereof. Then it goes in and talks about reimbursement of travel and other expenses in the amount of $58. And then grand jury, $10 first day and 40 subsequent days.
I'll move to approve the Medina County schedule for reimbursement of jurors and prospective jurors.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Medina County schedule for reimbursement of jurors and prospective jurors. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 27, discuss and take possible action on imposition of optional fees for calendar year 2024 for vehicle registrations in Medina County. You do have that in front of you as well, and it's county road and bridge fees that says may not exceed $10, if it's got to be credited to. And then child safety fees may not exceed $1.50. And then transportation project fees, which I don't believe we,
So what do we do now?
$10.
the same as $10.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry.
I try to make notes for y'all.
Anybody want to do the motion on that? You have to state.
Okay. Make a motion to leave it $10.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Everybody go to sleep up there? Medina County, approve the Medina County schedule for I'm sorry, and I'm going to see. Approve the imposition of optional fees for calendar year 2024 for vehicle registrations in Medina County. Any other discussion?
That was just $10?
It was this fee schedule. It's all here. Is that?
I said
Yeah, with $1.50 out on the child safety also.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically approving the fees, right, this schedule.
$10. That's it, just $10.
Okay.
Is that just the county road and bridge $10, or is it $10 for a combination of both?
No, $10 just for road and bridge.
So,
If they go with $1.50 for child safety, they have to have a special fund, and it's always used for certain things, and Commissioners Court has never done that.
well, that's why I was asking.
But it's
Child
still an
safety,
option.
remember that?
Huh?
The child safety, we.
No, we've never done it.
Okay, so I have a motion, second, any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item 28, discuss and take possible action on approval of list of election judges submitted by the Democratic Party Chair for a 2-year term beginning August 2023. Yes, sir.
Morning, Judge and
Good morning.
Commissioners. In your packet, you should have a list that was submitted by the party chair, Democratic Party Chairman Sandy Young. We're asking that you approve that list for a period of 2 years.
I'll make a motion to approve the Democratic list.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Democratic list of elected judges submitted by the Democratic Party Chair for a 2-year term beginning August 2023. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 29, discuss and take possible action on approval of a list of election judges submitted by the Republican Party Chair for a 2-year term beginning August 2023.
Same, Judge and Commissioners, that list was submitted by the party chair, the Republican Party Chair, and we're asking the same to approve it for a 2-year term.
Who's the Republican Party Chair now?
My understanding as of this morning is Mr. Brian Kenke.
Okay. Brian Copy. Okay, I assume the roll on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the Republican list.
Have a motion and a second to approve the list of election judges submitted by the Republican Party Chair for a 2-year term beginning August 2023. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 30, discuss and take possible action on declaring items from the following offices as surplus and/or salvage and authorized for disposal, which is the list below, Hondo buildings. And I'll let you run down.
You can go through on my laptop, guys. I'm going
Okay.
through my.
Hondo building, we have salvage there, and you all have the pictures, I think, that were submitted, what those items are. A lot of computers, a lot of old phones, that are on this list: District Court salvage, JP1 salvage, WIC salvage, and then one WIC transfer. Elections to salvage precinct 1, 2, and 3 all have salvage items in this list. And again, I think everybody saw the pictures that were submitted in our packet. If you have any questions on it, certainly can ask and we will.
And my salvage is all straight from the bunker.
That, Commissioner Lynch, that
Shredder, no, only thirty
What do
dollars.
I have on there? That is the pictures. I should have a couple of shredders and actually a haul truck.
Yeah, 2 shredders and, yeah, very nice.
And
Auction.
the only thing that doesn't have a picture of, Commissioner Sitter's list pictures, it's not, there is a picture of all the telephones, that's the old phone system.
And the light fixtures that
Yeah.
are in the old building.
The actual brain of that phone system though is still on the wall in the IT closet, so we can get you a picture of that and include it with, it's just part of the phone system.
Jennifer sent the pictures of that.
Oh, it's not the phones?
That, I'm talking about what controls the phones. Yeah, it's not been taken off of the wall, so, but we'll get a picture of that too. It's part of those, it's just y'all put off of it.
Okay, so is it all one group then, or get rid of all of it?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'll
it's part of the phone system.
make sure we get a picture. It's still on the wall, so we'll have to do that.
I'll make a motion that we declare the following items as surplus and/or salvage and authorize disposal A through J.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second that we declare these items listed in item 30 as they're marked either surplus, salvage, or transfer. Is that your intention?
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 31, discuss and take possible action on authorization to advertise for public hearing for placement of stop signs at the intersection of County Road 5722 and County Road 5723, located in precinct 2.
I'll move that we authorize the advertising for public hearing.
Have a motion and a second that we authorize to advertise for public hearing for the placement of stop signs at intersections of County Road 5722 and County Road 5723. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion does carry. Item number 32, we have court announcements. Commissioner Sitter.
Extremely busy in precinct 2. If you think the subdivision is going to slow down, just hang on, all I got to tell you. It's not slowing down.
Precinct 3 staying busy, we have nothing to eat.
Precinct 4, working on roads, working on shoulders right now, so we have the whole truck. We've been working on shoulders all week. I think we should finish that today.
And I want to thank all y'all for helping me through the week. We got a lot of paving and grinding done the last week in the heat. Thank y'all for that.
Yes, sir.
The only other announcement I have this morning is we will have a meeting, special meeting and budget workshop next Thursday, the 17th at 9 a.m., right, Jim? 9 a.m. So next Thursday, the 17th, 9 a.m. Meeting and workshop. So we'll be posting that. Did you have something, Chief? I'm sorry.
Talk about ISO for just a second.
About what?
Our new insurance rating.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you sure may.
So for Medina County, SE1 covers from Medina County just south of the coast of Pearson. Insurance rates in the county are graded by, every property receives a what's called a public protection class, PPC rating, or otherwise known as an ISO rating. All of our county right now, if you're not within this municipality, is either rated as a 9 or a 10, which means 10 indicating you have no fire protection. 9 is, there's something, but your insurance rates are generally really high with those ratings. Within our district, we regraded back in February, and we were able to convert all of our non-municipality districts to a 5. 4 is the best residential rating you can get. So, and this grading goes out 5 road miles from each one of our southern fire stations right now. So Rio, Medina, Castroville, and La Crosse. All properties within 5 road miles of those stations are now there's no hydrant requirement. So in the past, there was a hydrant requirement, so the insurance rating may be a 5X, which indicated it had to be within 1,000 foot of a fire hydrant. With what we were able to display to the insurance companies and the water that we can bring to the fire, there's no longer a hydrant rating for all of the properties within our district. This should see a significant drop in insurance coverage or premium cost for our district. Now, our northern area is still we're working on because we're separated. Our northern station in Mico and our station in Rio Medina are 21 miles apart. So that area up in the Mico response district is still an 8, and we're working to get that corrected with the station in between. But it's a big jump to the county. It's good for economic development. All the residential developments come along to Tranco. That's where it's really been affected. We got $700,000-$800,000 homes, and I spoke with homeowners that were $4,000 and $5,000 a year for their homeowners insurance because of prior rating. So we have letters on our website right now. It'll officially go in. I'm told it'll go into the insurance systems December 1st. So 10 months from the time we graded is how long it took to get it officially updated, but it is a significant improvement. Our 2 cities, which are the Castroville and LaCoste, are going to a 4. So it's exciting. It's big news for the county. I think it's going to help significantly, and especially the development in that area.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations to you all. It's I know it took a lot of work, team effort to get it done, but that's fantastic news. So I guess all the citizens need to check their rates come January for sure to see if they're getting